Hi YouTube, and welcome back to my channel. So it's been a minute since my last video. If you follow my channel at all, you'll know that my last video was my 1 year on testosterone, which was on June 19th. So it's been a while. It's now August 5th today that I'm filming. And so it's been a while. And in my last video I mentioned that I was looking forward to getting my hysterectomy a week later, which has happened, obviously. But it's been an interesting 5 or 6 weeks since I've made my last video. So yes, I had my hysterectomy, and in general that went pretty well. I went in super early in the morning. They released me from the hospital the same day, later that afternoon. I had to make sure that I had to make sure I could get up to use the restroom and make sure that things were flowing properly and that kind of thing, without getting into too much detail. But anyway, so that all went well. Went home. I had a friend of mine drive me. Had another friend of mine actually came and stayed with me in the hospital and kind of babysat me while I was recovering, and then drove me home. And then my roommate, was here with me while I was recovering and everything, and made sure that, I was able to get food and, and that kind of thing without having to get up too often. I mean, my doctor did want me to not stay in bed the whole time, wanted me to get up and walk and that kind of thing, but at the same time, take it easy. Like, make sure you walk, but take it easy. So, talk about contradictions. But in general, the first few days went pretty well, and then I started having some complications, and I was like, oh crap. So one of the things that you can get after surgery is, especially because of the anesthetic and all the painkillers and all that kind of stuff, you can get constipated. And I was taking pills to help relieve that, and let's just say nothing was happening. And that was rather unpleasant. And so then so I had the surgery on the Wednesday. The following Monday I woke up with a fever. That's immediately a bad sign. And I know my surgery instructions were that if I hit a fever over 100 degrees more than once, that I should come back to the ER. So I had a fever that morning, took some Tylenol to try and relieve the fever, and it took the fever down. And I just kind of took it real easy that day, just had lots of fluids, and just tried to take care of myself. Well, by about 5 o'clock that evening, the fever was back, and it was actually even higher than before. I think it reached to like 101. So still low-grade fever, not an alarming fever, but I think that the idea is you don't want to let it get to an alarming level before you go into the ER, because I know there's things like sepsis that you can have to worry about, and there's all sorts of things. So I was like, okay, fine, we're going into the ER, and get there, and they check me in, and they're like, ask me all these questions, and they're poking and prodding me and everything, and I was a little bit more sore on one side than the other side, and they were like, it felt very much like well, it was constipation, because nothing had happened, nothing had moved. And so there was constipation pain. However, they were like, okay, well, we're not quite sure what's going on here, so we're gonna go send you to a CT scan. They did that, come back an hour later, I'm like, well, we have a surprising result. You have appendicitis. So apparently between the day of my surgery, because apparently my gynecologist said she very closely looked at everything inside as she was, working, and she saw the appendix, and it looked normal, but by the time 5 days later, it was like double the size, and so that was like an indication that it was getting close to bursting. So it didn't burst. Had caught it before it burst, but I still had to have emergency surgery and get the appendix out, and that one, because it was, I had the fever, I think I had the fever around 5, and I was kind of hemming and hawing and not, like, dragging my feet to go back to the hospital. Made it to the hospital at 7 in the evening. By the time we figured out what was going on and getting me into surgery, it was after 10. Got out of surgery almost, it was like 11:30, almost midnight, and when I was waking up in the recovery room, And then at that point they were like, well, we could send, we could send you home once you're, recovered enough, or you could stay the night. And I'm like, well, it's going to take a few hours for me to be able to get up and move and everything. And they were like, yeah, so it'll be like, what, 3 or 4 in the morning? Might as well stay at that point. And so that's what we ultimately ended up, like, I stayed the night and left. A friend of mine picked me up around 11 or noon the next day and stuff. So, I survived that, and after the appendectomy, I felt so much better. It was the appendicitis. Apparently, appendicitis can cause constipation. So I'm like, right. So things are all working the way they're supposed to now. So thank goodness. But that was, two surgeries back to back. What are the odds of that happening? So my recovery's been a little bit slower and stuff. Plus, with my hysterectomy, because I had a total hysterectomy, it's going to take a total of 8 to 12 weeks for full recovery. I'm mostly back to normal. I still have a restriction. I can't lift anything over 10 pounds. And there's, one other restriction is, well, if I'm trying to have fun, I can't use any toys. It's, I won't go into too much detail on that one, but no toys allowed when I'm having fun. Let's leave it at that. But the reason for this, and this is from the medical perspective, is because of the total hysterectomy. So if you think about it, like, this is the vaginal canal, and then this is the cervix that sits on top of it. When that's out, you've got this kind of opening, and so they have to sew that closed. And apparently that takes 8 to 12 weeks to heal all the way. So I just need to be patient and let nature take care of itself and let it heal. But otherwise, in general, like I said, I feel pretty good. And the cramping pain that I had because of all the fibroids that I've developed in the uterus is all gone. Well, there's no uterus, so there shouldn't be any. So for years, I've had 2 sources of pain in that area. And we found out one back in April was an abdominal adhesion, and that was fixed. But then the cramping was still there, and then so I had the full hysterectomy, and now I am pain-free, at least in that region. My knee still hurts, my neck still hurts. I'm still falling apart in other places, but at least in my lower abdomen, all of the sources of pain that I've had for 30 plus years are gone. I'm like, thank goodness for that. So that's a relief on my part. And because of these surgeries, from an insurance perspective, I've now maxed out my deductible and my out-of-pocket expenses. Living here in the US, you kind of have to play these games with insurance in order to get the care that you need, which is ridiculous, but that's a whole nother topic. But so because of that, I was like, oh, well, now is the time to take advantage of that, and what else do I need to get done? So one thing is I've had a neck problem and stuff, and they did an x-ray, and they've found that one of my discs has some deterioration on it, so I'm going to go for physical therapy, so there's that. But obviously, since I'm trans, the other big thing for me is gender reassignment surgery. Now, I'm not going for lower surgery. I'm not going for bottom surgery. I've pretty much made up my mind that that's just not going to happen. There is one simple procedure that I might consider in the future, but the likelihood of that one is maybe. But I'm never going to have a full metoidioplasty, and I'm definitely not going to have a phalloplasty. I have no interest in those. I've talked about that before in the past. If you want me to go into more detail about why, I can certainly make a single video just talking about that. But I do want top surgery because I'm getting just a little bit tired of wearing these binders. I'm wearing one right now. You can kind of see I've got it on under here and stuff, and I'm just really tired of the binders at this point. I love them and I hate them at the same time. They give me the flat chest that I want, and when I first put them on, they feel really good. It feels like you're getting a hug, which is kind of cool. But if you wear them for any period of time, eventually it causes back pain and everything, and I've got back pain and neck pain and lower back pain and everything. I've been suffering from that for years without the binders, and let's just say the binders are not helping any. I'm guessing that when I go see the physical therapist, I have my first appointment this week, that they're gonna say you should not be wearing the binders. I'm not gonna hold my breath on, but I'm thinking that that might be one of the things they're gonna be like, well, you shouldn't be wearing them. It's like, well, I have to. At least I'm not letting my flesh bags that are on my chest loose in public, because I'm just like, at this point I'm masculinizing so much now with my voice, and it's still not that visible, but the facial hair is coming in more, my body shape is changing more, and just everything. And so having, you know, breasts is just not, it just doesn't work with the whole look that I've got going. Might work with the fingernail polish, but you know, that's another thing entirely. But so yeah, that's the thing. So that's my next plan, and next week I have my appointment to get my consultation for the top surgery. So that's the next step. I've got my referral from my doctor. I've been seeing a therapist again just to make sure that I have all the T's crossed and I's dotted and all that stuff from the insurance perspective, because I don't want my insurance to have any logical reason other than we don't want to pay for at least part of the surgery. So we'll see how much they may or may not pay for it. I don't know. I have squirreled some money away just in case, because I don't have any faith in GoFundMe's to help with this. I tried to get some funds through GoFundMe to help me with Joey's procedures and everything with his cancer and stuff, because that's gone over $20,000 that I've had to spend on all of his treatments and everything, and I got, what, $650 of donations, which were appreciated. I mean, I appreciated every penny that was donated to me, but you know, $650 barely makes a dent in that $20,000 that I've had to spend on him. But he's doing great, by the way, if you're at all interested. He's still, it's been 9 months now, no, almost 10 months, and he had a prognosis of 10 months to live. And it's been almost 10 months now since his diagnosis, and he's still doing quite well. The radiation got rid of the tumor, at least as much of the tumor as it could. The theory is that it probably didn't eradicate all of it, and so that's one of the reasons I have to bring him in every 2 months to get checked to see if it's moved to his lungs or not. That's when we know that we're kind of on the downward spiral with him. But for right now, still his appetite and his energy and everything, he's just, you know, a normal, happy 9-year-old pup. And he's not slowing down at all. Neither is his sister, so the two of them are doing quite well. She's got her own issues, not cancer, at least not that I know of yet, but she has some kind of a skin condition, and we're kind of going through various treatment options and everything with her right now and trying to figure out what the heck is it and that kind of thing. And I can go more into that later once we kind of have a little bit more of an idea of what's going on with her. But other than those things, they're actually doing quite well, and I'm very very glad that I still have my pups with me. So, all right, that is my current update. Leave comments in the comment section below if you have any questions about anything I've talked about, anything you want to know. Questions in terms of what I'm going through with my transition, or just anything. If you want to know more about, you know, just in general, being, you know, me being a middle-aged person and going through a gender transition and that kind of thing, I'm more than happy to talk more about it. Let me know if you'd like me to do a video specifically just trying to keep me from rambling and focused on specifically why I don't want bottom surgery, because, you know, every trans person is different. Every trans person has their own reasons for what they do and don't want to do for their transition, and the one point I will make is it doesn't make me any less trans just because I don't want a full-size dick, okay? And I will put a, you know, put a point on that one, because there's a lot of disagreement in the community as to what's trans enough, and if you're not trans enough, are you really trans? And okay, too much gatekeeping in the community, in my opinion. but that's in another topic entirely as well. So thank you for joining me, and until next time, take care. Bye-bye.